It's time for Twig This Week in Google, episode 28, coming up in just a bit. The Nexus One gets some new features, Maps gets some surprising additions, and we speculate about Google's Superbowl ad. This Week in Google is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cashfly, CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 28 for February 7th, 2010. Why 2010 won't be like 1984. This Week in Google is brought to you by Go to Assist Express, the easy way to provide instant tech support to your customers remotely. Support smarter with Go to Assist Express. For a free 30-day trial, go to gotoassist.com/twig. And by Carbonite, the leader in online backup. Back up your PC or Mac off-site securely and automatically. For a free trial offer plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com, offer code TWIG. This is Twig, This Week in Google, the show that covers Google and the cloud, and from her head in the clouds to us, her feet on the ground, her head in the clouds, Gina Trapani of smarterware.org and lifehacker.com. Hi, Gina.
Hi, good afternoon.
Great to have you. In San Diego today, yes?
Yes, I am. Cloudy San Diego.
Oh, it's only 74 degrees.
We get rain too once in a while. No, it's kind of cloudy and rainy here.
Meanwhile, Jeff Jarvis is just dying in New York. Is it snowing in New York right now?
No, it stopped now. I should have brought a snowball in to throw at you.
That would be fun. I love it when it snows in Manhattan. It snarls the taxis. It's great. People bring out guns. Also joining us today, I'm really pleased to have him from Mashable.com, Pete Cashmore. And I think, Pete, you're in town, aren't you?
No, I'm back in Scotland now.
Oh, you went home already? You got snow?
I've got snow. I can beat Gina on the weather complaints. Yeah, we've got snow still lying.
You had a big Mashable event, which was just yesterday,
last
wasn't it?
night. Yeah.
How'd you get back to Scotland so fast?
I didn't make the Mashable event. I was in. I was actually in the States last week. I was in for the Grammys and Twist Up in LA, and then I was scheduled to come back here. I should have stayed on. Would have been awesome.
It was your party, man.
It didn't work out. I know. We've got another one coming up at South by Southwest.
Pete is one of the few Web 2.0 entrepreneurs who's in Scotland. Is that incorrect to say? Is that a very chauvinistic, stupid American thing to say?
I can't think of any others.
I guess not. I'm Scott. My mom's maiden name is Dunlap, so I have a tartan somewhere.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you in a kilt then.
Yeah.
We got
I want to
get for it.
I do. I've got fine manly calves. Do you have the full dress tartan and everything?
I don't. People tend to rent them here because they're quite expensive.
Yeah.
Don't wear them that often.
Always wanted to have one of those.
I think we want Twit tartans.
Twit tartans. We need to.
Yes, swag.
We need to make a Twit plaid. McTwit, I think it would have to be. So the big story, I think the big story of the week, but I'll let you guys weigh in on this, but the big story for those of us who use Nexus One phones is Google, and I think there's a larger story underneath this. Google finally ships multitouch in an update for Google Android 2.1. It's 2.1 Update 1, right, Gina?
Yeah, it's not 2.2. It's
right.
2.1 Update 1, which is kind of strange. So I'm curious. I thought that there was a whole patent issue with this. With multi-touch.
Well, therein lies, I think, the larger tale, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I think that there is pissiness occurring in all quarters now.
Yes.
Because the report had been that Leo mentioned was that Apple asked Google nicely to pull back. Apple started snarking at Google about evil and things, and Google says, nah, back to you. Meanwhile, Microsoft is throwing everybody under the bus. It's turning nasty out there.
Oh, I love it. For journalists, there's nothing better.
One of the great things was my Dolphin browser had multi-touch already before I got the update.
Well,
yes.
in a way, that's what fooled me because I put 2.1 on it, and I'd been using Dolphin as you had, Jeff, and I love it. And then the Google's own multi-touch wasn't as universal, like mobile sites aren't squeezable. There it goes. You've just made it disappear. Is that the maps you're zooming in on? Yeah. There's actually a new Maps application just came out too. I think is it 3.4 that adds some interesting layers. It adds a search layer, which is kind of intriguing. But I'm going to talk about that later because that'll be my tool of the week. And I'm going to show you the weird search that I got. You lost Pete.
Ooh.
Have you used this search yet? It's because I'm curious if it's just me, if they're saying something about me.
I honestly haven't played around with it very much. I heard that there's a night mode. Is that GPS mode only, or I'm looking at maps right now?
I don't know.
I
I'll
love the traffic on maps.
Oh, I do too. And the layers are fantastic. But save it because there's a surprise.
Okay. All right.
There's a Chewy Candy Center on my Maps application.
And I've got to say, by the way, that I used my Nexus One the whole time I was in Europe.
Yes, I got an email on that, by the way. And I'll talk to you in a second about that. Go ahead.
I used my Swiss SIM, and it worked very well. And then I got home, so I'm adjusting very well. When I got home, getting the update over the cell wire rather than having to go through iTunes was kind of wonderful.
Oh yeah, it just appears.
Big brotherish, but boom, there you got it. Restart, you're done. It was very nice.
Yeah. No, I think that this is a nice update. It enables multi-touch in Maps. It enables multi-touch in Gallery. And as far as I can tell, it's every bit as smooth and easy and fast and intuitive as it is on the iPhone, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, and it matters so much because before it was driving me nuts not having it.
It was the big miss. Well, to me, there's two missing elements. And to others, there may be applications that they need. But the fact that it doesn't do Audible books still kills me, and I hope it will sometime soon. And the lack of multi-touch, that really made it hard for me to say to Apple people, no, this is a better phone.
And I'm waiting for things like New York Times apps and Guardian apps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the content that I read isn't there.
But there are good news apps. We mentioned that Thomson news app.
Excellent, yes.
Does a nice job. I like the widgets, which you don't get on an iPhone, that allow us to, I have on my screen, I actually have a whole news page. The last page on my phone is dedicated to news, and I have 3 different news feeder widgets. One is the Thomson Reuters, one is a little RSS widget, and one is, I don't know, Slashdot or something. And so it's really nice to be able to put those there and be able to just go to that page and get a quick scoop on what's going on and pick stories. But you're right, it would be nice to have a New York Times on there.
Now, the 2 things that don't have multi-touch are the built-in browser and the keyboard, right?
No, the built-in browser has multi-touch.
Oh, it does have multi-touch now. It got it because I was using Dolphin, so it didn't.
I was deceived because Dolphin does it everywhere, and the built-in browser doesn't do it on Google's homepage. It doesn't do it on mobile pages. So a lot of the pages I saw, I was going, it won't do it. But it does do it. I kept going to pages. I tweeted that, and somebody said, no, it does it. You just got to go to these other pages.
Oh, okay. And now what about the keyboard? I heard a couple of people saying that iPhone has multi-touch keyboard, but how does, it's been so long since I've used an iPhone, how does multi-touch work on the keyboard? What can you do that you can't do on...
Push 2 keys at once, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, well, in what situation? I mean, shift? Key combination? It's not like you can do keyboard.
Off, I think. There is some combination. You're right, I forget what it is. But it was also true on the Nexus One before. There was a keyboard case of multi-touch.
Yeah. In fact, that's how somebody proved to me that multi-touch was enabled. But in any event, supposedly this also enables it. But again, yeah, if you don't use it. Have you noticed any other shifts in the with 2.1, update 1? Anything else that's new?
Nothing else.
Is this only Nexus One?
Huh?
Is this only for Nexus One?
Yeah, because no one else is using 2.1 yet. And in fact, this is, I think, a big problem with Android in general is that it's as if Microsoft released Windows 7 but was still selling Windows 98 on. There are people still using 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, at what point do they upgrade, and like, what are the barriers? I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of people saying, who have the older phones saying, the other phones saying, like, this is ridiculous. When are we going to get 2.1? You guys are getting an update. We haven't even gotten 2.1. I'm not sure what the holdup is on that.
Pete, are we leaving you out because you're using an iPhone?
We're leaving me out right now because my Mac just crashed and I just go back on. So I missed part of that convo.
Well, all we've talked about really so far is Nexus One, which is kind of pathetic.
I love the Nexus. I'm thinking of getting one. My iPhone contract runs out next month, so I'll be at South by Southwest deciding which phone to get.
We've even convinced Jeff, who was very skeptical.
What's your take on like the internationalization? Because I travel so much, and
let me read you something, Jeff. Because when Jeff, you went to first before Davos, you were in Germany,
in Munich, yeah,
and you had trouble, I think.
I didn't have trouble. I have a UK SIM from Orange, and I could not get data going on it at all.
And I found out why, by the way.
Ah, good. Okay, I rented a Swiss SIM, and I got full data.
Right.
One little trick is if you switch SIMs, every time you do, it wants you to re-authenticate your Google account, but it doesn't really make that clear, so things wouldn't work. And if you think something doesn't work, you can't get email, nothing's doing. You go to the alerts, and you'll see that it's telling you, no, I don't know who you are again.
I got an email from Sean in Australia who says, as far as frequencies go, it does support all of the operating frequencies in Europe, which is HSDPA 900, 1700, 2100. So the only difference is the iPhone 3GS is 850, not 900. And 850 is for AT&T. T-Mobile is 1700 and 2100. Most European carriers are 2100. Apparently there are a few 900. Australia, New Zealand is 2100, 900, and 850, depending on carrier.
I think the problem in this case was that Orange must not support data for it.
Nope. He explains this. He explains this. Jeff's issues in Germany must have been either account-level issues with data not being activated. In other words, you didn't have a data account, or you hadn't turned on data roaming because that's off by default.
I did that too.
Okay.
I had data on my old phone.
And I've seen this before. There's one more thing. There are APN settings that are specific to the carrier. And he said it's possible that the SIM card you put in didn't automatically populate the APN settings, so you'd have to go deep into your settings menu and change the server name that you're getting data from. In other words, it probably was still T-Mobile, and you needed to change it to Orange.
And God help you trying to call Orange and get that settled.
You can, when I unlocked my G1 and put in my AT&T, SIM for my iPhone, I had to do a similar thing. Exactly. It was really just a Google search away. Just say, whatever Orange on, and you'll get you can search for APN.
Where is that information stored, Gina? Is it in the hardware setting? I mean, is there?
It's in the software. It's in the settings, in the Android settings.
So it sounds like, Pete, that this would be a phone that's compatible. Who's your carrier in Scotland? Is it O2?
Orange.
It's Orange. So it sounds like it would work fine.
Yeah, who's the vendor? It's coming. The Nexus One is coming to a vendor in UK.
Don't know.
Right?
I know it was Vodafone.
Is it? Yeah.
I don't know if Orange or is O2 Orange? Is that the same?
It's on their page.
Okay.
It says.
Vodafone, it sounds like.
Yeah. Is Vodafone a Scottish carrier?
It's British.
British, yeah. So I know Vodafone was the
Vodafone,
first. Yeah.
Spring 2010.
Okay. And Verizon supposedly March.
Well, at Davos, Schmidt said that it'll be on all 4 major U.S. carriers by, I think he said March.
So here's the deal. According to an analyst anyway, only 80,000 of these phones have been sold. Is that your number? I hope that's not your number, Jeff.
No, it's not.
I have to stay away from numbers.
Yeah, it's not going crazy.
80,000 is very, in this time period with the iPhone, I think it was several 100,000.
Google's not a retailer, and it's not thinking like a retailer. I went to a T-Mobile store trying to buy, a spare battery for it, and they said, we got nothing for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very small
number. They've pushed it pretty hard, though, haven't they? Go ahead, sorry.
Well, they have. If you flew Virgin America with the free Google Wi-Fi over the holidays, first page you get Nexus One. You go to google.com, Nexus One. They pushed it in every
YouTube as well.
YouTube, every one of their
Here's the other funny one. And this is another story, but I just noticed today on Google Apps they've got a whole new dashboard and an offer of pro level on apps, which may be old, but I just saw it for the first time. But anyway, it pushes mobile apps there. You go to the link for iPhone, and it says, you might want to get really good use of Google Apps on an Android phone and the Nexus One. So they're
I was just going to say, Google isn't a retailer, but they want to be. And I think we're going to see them push this kind of stuff. You know, just with the store selling the mobile phone, there's also the talk of an app store for Google Apps, including Wave. There's also talk about that. I mean, they want to sell you stuff directly, you know, more. So, but no, they're not quite a retailer yet. The thing is that, you know, the Nexus One didn't get the kind of marketing campaign that the Droid did, for instance.
Right. No weird commercials.
They want to be a retailer, but they don't want all the overheads of being a retailer, like customer service and all those things that Google hasn't really perfected.
Yeah, all those inconvenient things.
Customers, we don't want customers. We just want to sell phones. Well, is it like Microsoft, Jeff? You know, Microsoft historically has a very, you know, like they're slow learners, but by the time they get to version 3 and anything, they really know what they're doing. You know, you wrote the book. What would Google do? Is this how does Google enter new markets? Do they start at a run, or does it take a while for them to ramp up?
Well, I think it takes a while, but I think these are wholly new skills. It's like Google's not every time Microsoft tried to be a content company, it failed at it.
Right.
They finally gave up. Google does not want to be, nor should it be, a content company. Can it be a retailer? Can it be a manufacturer, a designer? You know, I think the jury is still over the horizon on those things.
Well, they're not. I mean, the HTC is a manufacturer, and the HTC did a beautiful job with this, I have to say.
Yeah.
This is just such an elegant phone. I couldn't be happier with it. The only thing now I'm missing, in fact, I actually have the iPhone out because there's a Scrabble application. I really wish they had. But that's why I'm going to buy an iPad, because the iPad will satisfy all those like really weird, and it'll be better for Scrabble. And then I'll just
entertainment.
Yeah. Now I have to say, right before the show began, my phone crashed, and I think this is when you explain when people say, "Oh, no multitasking on the iPad," I have to say, there's some devices you don't want multitasking on, and I think multitasking on a phone is risky because it's too easy for a program running in the background to cause problems, to hang up the phone. In this case, I think I put a third-party SMS application called Hand Sent on here because it supposedly allows you to change the color of the ball, which is a very it's a very bad reason to put anything on a device. Yeah, you know the little trackball down here, it glows.
Oh,
So you can have it glow a different color. Apparently, that capability is not built into this phone because it never did. And I don't know, but that's the only thing I did to the phone recently, and I think it's probably what crashed it. So, just if you want your ball to change color, that's not the way to do it.
Sorry.
There are other bad ways, but that's another bad way. So that's, you know, to me, multitasking, that's the risk of multitasking. On the other hand, I sure do like the fact that I can have, you know, Google Listen running in the background while I'm, you know, surfing the net or things like that. I think that's really great.
So at one point, I don't know how I did this, but I installed an alternative music player and was listening to a playlist at the gym, and then wound up hitting the play button on my headphones, and then that started the default music player.
Right.
So I had 2 songs playing at the same time.
I've had as many as 3 things playing at once.
And it took me a minute to really understand what was going on. I was like, what is happening? And it's just like, you know, that really shouldn't happen. I mean, come on. The phone should be smart enough to know.
No, I like it that you can do that. I had Pandora running, TuneWiki running, and Google Listen running, all 3 at the same time. I think that's giving the user power. The power to screw the hell up out of your phone. I think that's okay.
Power to give yourself a really bad headache.
And I had the same reaction. It's like,
what is happening? Who is talking to me?
We have to do a Nexus One thing on this show at some point, because obviously there's a lot to talk about. I have a couple of tools we'll talk about. I'll do a couple of Nexus One apps. How about that? When I
that'd be good. Yeah,
tools. Yeah, because I think I don't know, but I'm using an alternate music player that I really, really like.
Are you going to tell us that now, or is that
no? Stay tuned.
You're holding back.
And I want to talk about this shooting war because I think Steve Jobs is feisty as heck, and he's the one who called BS on Google's not evil, and that got Google going, and he's got Amazon going. And he started there's another war going on. This is very interesting.
It really is getting nasty out there, yeah.
I can't wait. We're going to talk about it in just a second, but before we do, I want to mention our friends at Carbonite. Carbonite is online backup. If you don't back up off-site, you're not doing it right because, you know, yeah, great to have a local backup sitting right there next to the computer, your hard drive, but what if there's something bad happens, fire or flood, or bad guys break into your house? and steal your backups. You say that couldn't happen? It happened to Francis Ford Coppola. He had only one backup of his computer on a hard drive next to his computer. He thought he was smart backing it up. Thieves broke in. He was in Argentina. They stole everything. He says, I lost 20 years of scripts. Just tragic. That's why I tell everybody about Carbonite.com. It's online backup. So what happens now? Of course, for this to make sense, you have to have high-speed internet. This isn't going to make sense if you have dial-up. But I don't think anybody listening to this show is still. I hope you're not still using dial-up. But if you have enough upstream bandwidth, this is such a great solution. You can try it right now for free, no credit card or anything. You just go to Carbonite.com, use the offer code TWIG, and download it. It immediately starts backing up the stuff internal to your computer. It won't do external disks. It won't do network disks. Just the stuff that's on your system, but your personal stuff only. But that's what you want, right? And it knows. It backs up your pictures, your music, your financial documents, your email. It just starts that automatically, does it in the background. It encrypts it with AES 256-bit encryption before it does anything. You choose the key, so it's totally private to you. Then it uses SSL 128-bit in a classic case of overcompensation. Double encrypt it, so it's completely private as it's going upstream. And when it gets there, it is available to you on the net anytime. You can sign on anywhere to your Carbonite account. So it's kind of like you've got this in the cloud storage at all times. If you need to restore it, just a click of the mouse. I love Carbonite. I use it, and I encourage you to try it too. For Mac or PC, go to Carbonite.com, use the offer code TWIG, T-W-I-G, and you can try it free. And by the way, if you use the offer code TWIG and decide to buy, you got to do the trial first. I insist, because I want you to try before you buy, but if you decide to buy after the offer, you get 2 free months with the offer code TWIG. Carbonite, CARBONITE.com. So did this war start when Steve Jobs at the all-hands meeting called BS on Google? Or has this been brewing for a while? What do you think, Pete?
You know, I've mainly been following the Adobe angle on this one with the Flash stuff.
Yeah, Apple's basically pissing off everybody.
Yeah, the Flash thing, I wrote a column for CNN last week on, you know, how that's kind of fragmenting the web a little bit when we have Apple essentially saying, okay, we're not going to support Flash, and then HTML5 coming up, which is really, really exciting for everyone, and maybe offering an alternative to proprietary solutions. But I think it's interesting, kind of the higher level, that devices like app stores, things like the iPad having an app store, things like the iPhone app store, things like Google now having an app store, Nokia's got one. Everyone's getting and kind of fragmenting the web into all these little pieces, and we kind of thought that the web would be united and it would all be, you know, web-based apps, and suddenly everything's fragmented. So that's really an interesting trend, and I don't think it goes in any singular direction. I think we're also going to head back to web apps when we get HTML5 coming up and letting us do even more tricksy things on the web. But I think it's just an interesting trend that the App Store created.
I've applauded Apple for this. In fact, the tweet that I sent out was, Apple does so many things that are proprietary and closed that you have to applaud them when they say, we're not going to include... Now, of course, they do it because for business reasons, because we don't want to support Adobe or whatever, but you do have to applaud them for at least pushing forward HTML5, don't you?
Yeah, but this is like the debate over Google. They're also hurting their own device. I mean, if you want to
that's even more admirable, because they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I think they think that they got people by the private parts. And you know, why not enable the whole darn web on the device? I think Pete's right. Where the singularity goes away when you get special use devices. Well, I want the web.
Clearly, Jobs is lying when he says it's the best experience surfing the web, because it isn't. It isn't the whole web.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I'm no fan of Flash either. I can't stand the overuse of Flash the same way I cannot stand PDFs. They happen to both be from the same place. But the web uses them. People use them, and to cut that off, I think is is an application balkanization of the web.
There are other reasons. I mean, look, there's a lot of reasons Apple could cite. I think it's pretty clear that they just don't want to give Adobe that much power. But they could also say that this is a very powerful scripting language. You know, Flash is not a multimedia player. Flash is a platform. You can write applications in Flash, and it's a backdoor to applications. So it may well be that their big fear is, well, first thing we do is it will allow Flash, and Google will write Google Voice in Flash, and we can't stop it.
Right, and the Google tablet, which we had more rumors of those this week, but because Android's open, anybody can create a tablet and use Android. It will use web applications, and so the web will.
But HTML5 style, not Adobe style.
But you can still get Flash.
Right.
I can run Flash on Android, right?
Oh, yeah. In fact,
so
it has some sort of Flash capability in it right now.
So it's already in there.
Yeah.
So an Android Android on a tablet will be more powerful than the Apple. However, the problem becomes the applications still suck in comparison.
Right. Let me get back to this shooting war thing. It seems as if people are a little more feisty than they used to be. I mean, Jobs was very feisty when he called BS on Google and said, Adobe's platform sucks. Google responds, I think, by putting multitouch, saying, well, all right, up yours, Apple. We're going to put multitouch in there. Yeah, come on and sue us.
Meanwhile, Microsoft is throwing Google under the bus about evil. Meanwhile, Macmillan pulls its books from Amazon.
And wins because Amazon backs down. Amazon.
Well, I don't think the books are up yet.
No, but Amazon has said they're going to back down.
I think they've started leaking back. I just checked in Friday night. I think the Bits blog had up that some of them started coming back, although Reuters feed today says it's just the ebooks that have started coming back.
I was with the owner of Macmillan in Davos, Stefan von Holtzbrink, who's a really nice and smart guy, and he was practically giggling about finally having competition in the e-reader space. So he was happy for Apple to be there just for that reason alone.
I think Jeff Bezos made a rare bad chess move on this one. I've been very impressed by his ability to strategize and think several moves ahead. I think putting the speech in the Kindle and strategically pulling back at the right time was very strategic. This is not good strategy to go. So Macmillan says, we want you to act as Apple does, as an agent for us. With Apple, we set the price. They take 30%. Everybody's happy. That is not Amazon's model. Amazon sets the price and tells the publisher how much they're going to get.
You think Amazon could stand there and say, oh, we're the friend of the reader and the consumer. We're keeping prices down. But that doesn't work in PR in this case. No. People know that.
But here's what's worse, though. If you pull the Macmillan books as they did, you better not put them back, because if you do, you have not just lost, you've lost, because every publisher now is going to say, oh, guess who has the upper hand here? And I think, is it Hachette? Another publisher just announced, okay, we want the same model. So the
problem is going to be that
horrible
prices
move
go up for all of us. It's the same as Fox managing to get must-carry dollars out of Time Warner Cable, and the money went straight through to the customer.
But now here's the question: does a consumer really mind paying $15 for that book?
I think we have to see what the price elasticity is here. What will it do to the sales of books? I don't know.
And ultimately, we carry the weight because we just don't buy it. You're going to charge I think $9.99 was really a weird artificial price point. I thought maybe, they'll do this for a few months when the Kindle ships, but they've clearly intended to keep it that way, and I can see why Macmillan and others said, well, wait a minute.
But Leo, I think you're right about the shooting war, and what Pete said is important, is that I fear we're going to get to a bunch of closed webs.
Because everybody says it has their turf.
Yeah.
Well, the Amazon store is just in a way another...
Say again?
Another app store, isn't it? It's just another closed store that kind of controls what happens within that environment. Oh, Jeff, I'm interested because to me on the surface, this seems like a kind of an anti-consumer move that kind of is going to push prices up for all of us. Is that too simplified?
No, but on the other hand, you also have people who are complaining that us poor authors and writers are losing money in this world or becoming commodified. I just wrote a post I haven't put up yet about deflation. And that in non-physical goods, there is no more scarcity. And any effort to sell scarcity and build an economy based on scarcity ain't going to work anymore. And so the economics of media, advertising, education, information all change radically. So I don't think I think at one level, we're going to pay more. But if you go to the next step And I think that it's going to yield other unintended consequences. So Fox getting money out of a cable company for its TV station is fine. But when the prices go up, the FCC, I believe, will come in and will demand a la carte pricing. I think we're going to see potential antitrust action in book pricing here now. We're going to see people paying more. I don't know. I think it's the land of unintended consequences.
It seems like the launch of the iPad, though, is definitely, this was brewing for a while, but it was the launch of the iPad where everything just came to a head and blew up, right?
Well, it gave us choice.
Open his mouth, and it gave us choice, and this whole conversation started to happen between them. And I think that the Apple-Google thing, I mean, let's be honest, right? Apple kicks Google's ass when it comes to designing software that runs on your phone and on your computer, and Google kicks Apple's ass when it comes to web apps, right? And then they're fighting in the mobile market, but Apple's way ahead of Google still. So I think everyone was sort of playing nice for a while there. I'm not really sure. I think probably because of other partnerships that they had. But then once the iPad launched and Jobs said what he did about Google, and then this thing with Amazon, that it all just broke open, and now everyone's just being nasty and releasing multi-touch and and
making new rules. Did you also see there was one story on the feed that Apple's going to refuse any app that uses geography in advertising serving, because Apple's going to try to hold on to that themselves.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, and then they rejected that app that mentioned the word Android in the description.
This one really this is more shooting. A guy.
This all helps Android, I think, immensely.
Well, doesn't Google come out of this as kind of pro-choice, pro-consumer? You don't see them making these moves recently. You see Apple making them. You see Amazon to some extent, although Amazon, you could argue, was fighting for the consumer. This stuff, Google is the most open. Even though they have these app stores, they have these kind of environments they control. It's a lot more open as a platform, so it's pro-consumer. Yep.
And they're including Flash and things like that. I think so. By the way, Gina,
go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was going to change the subject. Go ahead.
I was going to say just quickly about Kindle books. I mean, it's now this is coming from someone who is publishing an ebook and really struggled with how to come up with a price point that people are going to pay for. I mean, the thing is for someone who spends $400 or $300 on an e-reader, I mean, do you think $15 is really going to stop them from buying the book at that point?
No, it's still cheaper than the hardcover.
So. It's still cheaper than the hardcover, and yes. You get it instantly. I mean, you buy a device that buys books, into your hands to wherever you are. I don't think people who are buying Kindles are really worried about paying $15 for a book. That doesn't seem unreasonable.
No, you're right, Gina. And the irony here is that Google kind of gets accused. The word isn't used, but kind of accused of dumping. In the sense that they destroyed value in the directions market, the mapping market.
And that's exactly what Amazon does with books.
And that's what Amazon does. And so what we're really looking for here is an open market. And we'll see what people are willing to pay.
Right. Amazon's artificially maintaining a price that has nothing to do with demand. And it's to promote the Kindle. What stuns me is that Amazon is willing to throw itself on its sword to protect the Kindle.
They've sold a lot of them, and they see that as their platform for this. They should be more open. The irony is that it's the greater control freak that is busting open the control freakedness of Amazon.
As far as we know, Apple can't go into our iPads and delete an application. I mean, maybe there's a kill switch. I guess there is.
But the iBookstore, we don't know. They might be able to delete books in the iBookstore. Who knows?
But if they do that, it's a dumb thing. I mean, Amazon did that.
That was a terrible move on it.
Could be in a position to break this open yet more, but the words Google and books right now,
they ain't going to go there.
Right.
Competition is good, but you hit the nail on the head, Pete, when you said this is potentially people fencing off, the prairie and eliminating the commons, and that's not good at all.
Well, it's not good if one person dominates. I mean, in iTunes, you've got one vendor dominating the music market. Right now, Amazon dominates books essentially, and as you get more competition, iPad, iBookstore, as you get all these vendors moving into the same space, you might eventually crack that open. I mean, could Google potentially get a bookstore and start lowering those prices? Probably, eventually. So it could all even out.
Well, but again, unintended consequences. What happens if you have all this competition in ebooks? Bookstores are just absolutely borked.
Well, that's a given. That's
a publisher's going to maintain the upper hand here. Amazon lets you sell ebooks directly now, don't they? Let you just put up your ebook and they'll be the publisher. So
I think that's
how
where
long
this heads.
publishers maintain the upper hand. At some point, Amazon will just say, hey, you want to keep the lion's share of your book sales? We've got bigger distribution. You know, it's really about distribution. And right now, if you want to publish a book, you still go with the mainstream publishers because you get into the bookstores where the distribution is. But how many years is that going to last?
And Amazon,
so at some point,
becomes
Amazon's
that
a publisher. Yeah, so this is kind of temporary to some extent.
Yeah.
Here's let's see. You were going to change the subject. I don't want to move on, Jeff, unless you...
I just wanted to give Gina props for the discussion of pads last week. I was ignorant of it. Have you all seen the Mad TV video?
Yeah. Are you kidding? That was everywhere. The
everywhere.
minute Steve said iPad.
I feel like I was so out of touch. I lost my feminine side completely. And not to get too ridiculous here again, but because of my surgery, even I'm a pad customer, and I didn't.
You know, I have to say that conversation has kind of died off, though, right? We're all done with that.
Okay, now, but it's so funny that I just felt completely blindsided by that. I was absolutely surprised.
No, me too. And I was blindsided not by Gina and Heather. I already knew because my wife and daughter both said, "What the heck are they thinking?"
It's like the Nintendo Wii, isn't it? At some point, you
get used to it.
Stop mocking the name, and
Get over
the
it.
Nintendo Wii's quite a good name, I think. Now it's not too bad.
I like saying it.
Yeah, I love the way the two eyes bow on the logo. I just think that's such a clever.
Yeah, I think Wii is not such a bad name, but maybe that's just because we got used to it.
Well, we thought it was when it launched,
right? And everybody hated iPod. I still hate iPod. iPod makes no sense. Pod people.
That's the way it is with brands. I'm a partner at Daylife. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I've always hated the brand because it sounds like a spa.
Right. But you just get used to it.
You get used to it and you forget it, and that's what it is.
It's like kids' names or anything else. That's why I told my wife, name her whatever you want.
Well, and don't forget that iTunes now isn't really essentially a music store. It's a media store.
Right.
I'm glad they came along with iBooks.
I think that's a kind of odd thing that they instead of just staying with iTunes, they had the iBookstore, which I first of all is not a very felicitous name, but also why bifurcate your store like that? Amazon doesn't have the Amazon A bookstore and the Amazon A shoe store.
I presume I'm going to be able to buy iBooks on my iPhone.
Nobody knows.
This is a good question. I wondered about this myself. And are you going to be able to read your Kindle books? Is that Kindle app going to work on your iPad? That's what I'm really curious to know.
That will work. Or the U.S. Department of Justice will have a very good case. You can say you can't use the word Android. That's sketch, but you can say that. But you cannot start arbitrarily blocking apps. Remember
Can you purchase Amazon MP3s on your iPhone right now?
No.
No, you can't. Why? Because Apple rejected the app.
Apple
or
rejects.
Did Amazon even...
Well, and this might be their excuse for rejecting a Kindle app post facto, is that they reject apps that duplicate the functionality of the iPhone.
Well, there you go. Does the Kindle app duplicate the functionality of? I mean, it
doesn't currently.
Intellectual exercise. Think about it.
So
it doesn't really. It lets you read books that you bought from Amazon.
Right.
It's going to be interesting, though, to see what happens with the Kindle
I am shocked. I thought when the iPad came out that Amazon, and I think I said it here, that maybe I said it on another show, that Amazon would embrace this. That I said Amazon's in the book business. They're not in the Kindle business. They're going to embrace this. It's another platform, another way to sell books. I am stunned, and I think Jeff Bezos really is making stupid moves here. I don't understand it. They're protecting a 3 million unit business over 2 years, compared to a business that's so small it doesn't show up on their shareholder statement, against a $9 billion a year business. What is that? That makes no sense.
I wonder if we get to the next level here. There's a 3D chess going on of net neutrality. We have kind of the need for web neutrality and app neutrality.
We do. But I do believe we're building these fences. Somebody in our chat room just pointed out, and I think this is true. Who else built fences? AOL. How well did that work out for them? I don't think you want to start making these arbitrary lines. It's not good for consumers. It's not ultimately good for the company. People want the ability. Everybody knows what we want. We want flexibility. We want to be able to take content and put it anywhere and consume it any way we want. And anybody who does anything to slow that down, I think, ultimately loses.
But the only company that is fully positioned to benefit from that wherever and however it happens is Google.
Yes.
The more we use the web, the better off Google is. The
Yes.
more we use the web, Apple doesn't benefit unless we're using their devices.
Right.
Amazon doesn't benefit unless they're the ones selling us the book.
Google said this. They said, we don't care. As long as you use the web more, we're happy.
Yeah.
I hope they continue to act
brilliant
that way.
strategy of Google.
Yeah. Maybe not a brilliant strategy. Maybe they're just a postmodern company. I mean,
Yeah.
it just may be what the time has come for this. Now, a little concern, article in USA Today this week, actually, I'm sorry, Washington Post, that Google asked the National Security Agency to help it track down those cyber attackers who breached its databases.
I think that's such a bogus story. Who else are they going to ask? Santa Claus?
The CIA?
Because it was ridiculous. It was a Wired story first, too, that just said, oh, well, the National Security Agency did bad things before. Now Google's talking to them. Uh-oh, what does that mean? Jack, that's what it means.
Well, it's because the NSA was involved in wiretapping, co-opting the phone carriers like AT&T and wiretapping.
Yeah, and we sold arms to South American guerrillas, too.
Yeah.
So Google's going to start selling arms to South American guerrillas. It's just, I don't mean to be the fanboy, defender, but it's rather ridiculous. As Google has said, there was a crime perpetrated here. It's a crime that involves national security. They report it to the government. The government decide who's going to work on this. And what are they going to say? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We refuse to work with the NSA?
Well, but here's the concern that they might, in the process of working with the NSA, give them personal information about us. Certainly the NSA would like that. They've shown that interest in that kind of thing before.
Well, under a different administration.
Yeah.
I do think that Obama's not going to walk down that same rat hole.
I wouldn't count on it. He's defended them in the wiretapping issues. His Department of Justice has, so I wouldn't count on that.
They seem pretty clear, though, that Google wasn't going to hand over personal information. The knee-jerk reaction has been like, scary, this is bad. Right. And I have to say, I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me feel a little icky. But for the most part, I agree with Jeff. Who are they going to go to? And, the terms of the agreement, it sounds like Google decided to work with them, on their own terms, without sharing personal identifiable information. I trust Google to do that. I make the decision to trust them by using their apps all the time. At any point they could share my information with someone I don't want them to. But I feel a little icky about it.
As the NSA points out, it's not the first time many Silicon Valley companies have come to them asking for help. It's apparently a very common procedure. So,
I think the thing that makes me feel ickier is that there are reported 36 companies that also got affected by the same story that haven't
done anything.
And we don't know what the sanctity is of our data there. We don't know how much they're helping the bad guys in this. That makes me feel ickier.
Yeah.
Icky being the operative verb of the day, Gina.
Icky is a good word.
Sorry. I didn't mean to sound like a 16-year-old girl, but it was the best word I could come up with.
That we is icky.
You know what's icky? Multitouch. That's icky. No, I'm just kidding. Google has filed 4 patent applications for technology it's building into its Chrome browser to make the web a more powerful foundation for applications. This is, I guess, the Google Native Client, a technology for allowing downloaded software modules to run directly on a processor rather than kind of through interpretation. Gina, tell me if I'm wrong. This sounds a lot like ActiveX, the loathsome Microsoft product that opened a million holes on Windows computers.
It sure does sound like that, doesn't it? Don't we all remember a whole thing about your browser being separate from your operating system?
Sandboxing.
Back in the day, and, seems like since it was Microsoft, it was a different story. Yeah, this sounds a lot like that. Also, another thing that makes me feel a little icky. Well, let's come up with standards, people. HTML5 data stores that everyone agrees on, and build that security layer. I'm a really big fan of my browser being separate from my operating system and having this sandbox, this security layer. But at the same time, Google's obsessed with speed. And hey, I install a Flash plugin. Flash does stuff, interacts with my operating system at a level that the browser can't. So, I don't know. But yes, it sounds a lot like that, Leo.
There's two initiatives here. The native client technology, which is designed to let web pages send the browser a binary file, which the computer will execute. Oh, great. Like you mean a Trojan horse? And then there's this O3D, which maybe make a little bit more sense, which allows browsers running JavaScript to write directly to the GPU to increase speed screen updates. Both are very dangerous. Now, the patent name is Method for Safely Executing an Untrusted Native Code Module on a Computing Device. Method for Validating an Untrusted Native Code Module. Certificates, ActiveX. Method and System for Executing Applications Using Native Code Modules. And Web-Based Graphics Rendering System. Yeah, this doesn't smell right at all. You know, JavaScript is enough of a security problem. ActiveX, you let them run binary. Boy, that's terrible.
Yeah, and this is just going to be a Chrome thing, so goes way beyond browser standards. So this is going to be like, well, if you run our apps in Chrome, they're going to run a little bit better, kind of the way it is with Gears now, right? Like you can do things with Google Gears, you can drag and drop files into Wave, for instance, or get some offline access that you can't get without Gears. So they're kind of letting the sunset on Gears. It sounds like this is going to be kind of the next step.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. Love the idea of faster web applications. Don't love the idea of
do you think it's possible for them to implement it safely? Or is this just really a bad idea all around? I'm going to vote for bad idea all around.
It makes me highly uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
it's possible they can do it. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's frankly surprising given you know how they touted security on Chrome and the sandbox on Chrome. I mean, it's kind of an odd direction for them to go.
I mean, if you're talking about Chrome OS where there's nothing on the computer except for the browser
Maybe that's
and
what
all
this
your
is for.
data, I mean, then well, okay, I feel a little better about that. It's not like it's going to be able to download some binary that's going to, I don't know. I suppose it could download a binary that does key logging and that kind of thing, but not if Chrome OS doesn't, is so heavily sandboxed anyway. I'm interested to see how it shakes out. But yeah, I lean toward bad idea as well. Or icky.
Icky.
I'll go with icky.
Icky.
There's the title of the show.
I think third time we've got to make it the title now. I mean, there's no way around it.
Ickiness.
Icky. I'll tell you something that might also make you feel a little bit icky is Google Street View coming inside your home. We'll find out in a moment. But first, a word from our friends at GoToAssist. The great folks at Citrix have done it again. I've been using GoToAssist since we did it on the screensavers to help people fix people's computers remotely. Their latest GoToAssist Express is faster, easier, more secure, better than ever. If you're in the support business, IT or software support, you know that sometimes you just have to get into that computer. You have to get in there and fix it. You don't want to make the trip. Use GoToAssist. It's remote access designed for support. With GoToAssist Express, you can provide tech support online to customers and clients. Whether they're there or not, there is unattended, which I think is fantastic. You can fix a problem remotely without being there, access files, transfer them from your computer to the customer's computer, which is great for installing a patch or an update, a fix, an antivirus program, malware bytes. It allows you to have up to 8 sessions running at once, so you run the scan on one, and you move to the next, the next, the next. No more sitting around and waiting for that scan to complete. I mean, I could just go on and on. This is such a cool product. They do have month by month, but also day passes. But I'm going to tell you how you use it for 30 days. But I have to warn you because I used the free trial with my mom, and now she won't let me stop. In fact, I got an email from somebody who said my mother's paying for GoToAssist Express because she didn't want me to stop. I haven't gotten my mom to do that yet, but it is a great solution. GoToAssist.com/twig. That's the website. GoToAssist.com/TWIG, and you can try it free for 30 days. With that caveat, you're going to get hooked. GoToAssist.com/twig. We thank them so much for their support. So Search Engine Land has a scooplet, and actually there's a picture that goes along with it. A New York City nut and candy shop, Oh Nuts, sent an email to Search Engine Land saying a representative from Google was in there taking pictures, 360-degree pictures of the store for something they called Google Store Views. In fact, the store sent along security camera images. Of course, it could just be somebody with a camera. They don't have a big Google hat on or anything like that. What do you think? Does that sound like a product? I guess you, Pete, you also got this email from Oh Nuts. It says Mashable.
Covered it. I was traveling that day, so I have no idea if we were contacted directly or if we picked up off Search Engine Land. You know, you see this story and you think, well, that's going to be a joke. And then you think about it and you see the pics and you read Google's non-denial, which is perfect. It says, we are always experimenting with new features for Google Maps. We have nothing further to announce at this time, which is exactly what you do say when you're a spokesperson and you're working on a product, because otherwise you just deny it flatly.
I think this would be a great product. I'd love this product.
Yeah.
As long as I know coming to my house. I'd let him in the Twit cottage, though.
Well, you know,
cool?
Your nose next.
It pretty much, once one shop does it, once one store does it, everyone else has to do it because, you know, your store's indexed on Google.
That's
your
right.
competitors need to get their stores indexed as well. So it's kind of one of those things that it'll force everyone else to get their stores indexed. And
they've been moving in that direction for a while because now, as a business, I can get my Google listing, you know, and I can give them hours and pictures and stuff, and that's now in a business profile that shows up on Google Maps. I mean,
it's free.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, Gina, you're next.
I was going to say it's free advertising. What store wouldn't want this? And they took pictures of products. And think about Google Goggles, right?
Boy.
So the camera goes in the store, takes a picture of a bunch of products. Goggles associates that product with that store, and then suddenly you search Google for, you know, I don't know, Swiffer, and you find out the Target down the street has it, or the mom and pop down the street has it. And this just makes sense. I mean, Google's trying to index all the public. I mean, a store, the inside of a store is a public place, right? I mean, they're trying to index, you know, all public places, and with text recognition and the kind of goggle stuff they have going on, it only makes sense. And as a store owner, I'd be like, come on in.
I think the next step is to give them your inventory data.
Sure. What do we got? Sure. What's the price?
Yeah.
To find them locally, because we're moving to transparent marketplaces so that the price is not going to be the competition. Convenience will be the competition. This beats Amazon. You know, it's just down the block. We got it right now. You know, come on in and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Try it out.
We have
makes sense.
Somebody in the chat room who claims to know says, Google has a secret project that will change e-commerce in the very near future. That would fit in with that, right? Of course, Google's business is perfect information.
Yes.
Exactly. And meanwhile, as you said, Apple is banning GPS location-aware applications, so they can't say, "Oh, you're next to Pizza Hut. Would you like to come in?"
I went out to visit Best Buy because of my book, which I haven't plugged in a while, by the way, and I learned a tremendous amount from them. I realized that retailers are becoming media companies. The circular that Best Buy puts out is a media property. The end caps they sell in the store is media. Their opportunity is to become more of a community where they bring together smart people who know gadgets. You know, Leo Laporte should be hanging out in the nearest Best Buy and answering people's questions just because he cares the way we do at Apple.
Hell no. Hell no.
But I think that you start to see a store not just as a shelves with things, but as a media experience where you're going to add more value. We have the people who know these products. You can try them here. You can play with them here. You can compare them here. That becomes the value of retail at some point. It becomes a different experience.
By the way, Cyanogen just tweet. There's the book. What would Google do? What would Google do?
Notice that Leo did that. I didn't.
And by the
How
way,
do you index products, though? We're going to have unique identifiers for every product if we want to do.
We already do. We have we have barcodes.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
In fact, one of the very first things that the G1 did better than anything else was the ability to take a picture of a barcode and find out where I could get it cheaper down the block. I think that's great. I mean, if I have Shopkeeper, I ban cell phones if I can.
Let me go farther and farther. What if you could find out not only the menu of the restaurant near you, but what ingredients are in things? And why not? More data. Perfect data.
Yeah.
Gina's right.
I can't see a negative to this, really. I mean,
Same with hotel room. Well, now going to
hotel room. You GPS to a hotel room. You're looking at Street View. You say, "Let me go inside." You walk through the lobby.
I guess if you're going to be a cynic, I guess you could kind of, if you're a criminal, you might want to see how all the stores are laid out, where all the most expensive stuff is, plan your route, kind of thing.
True, but you can do that now.
I guess if you're a skeptic, you can just walk in. Exactly. But it certainly saves you having to do the, you're certainly not going to go and scout out a place with a bandana on, are you? Or a balaclava on. You know, if you've got to go in and check out the place, kind of as yourself at some point, and then there's tapes and so on. I'm just trying to make the devil's advocate argument here.
Good. That's what we bring you here for. You are the devil.
There's a case for you. There's a case that you could check out of place before you, without ever even setting foot in it.
If the devil were to personify, of course, he would personify as a handsome, smooth-talking Web 2.0 entrepreneur.
In a kilt.
In a kilt. With a sporran.
Well, but I think but the word you raised here that's very important, Leo, is public. And this is a debate I keep having. In Europe, the Europeans go nutty on privacy and publicness. As I mentioned last week in my very tired stupor from Davos, I've become an addict of saunas now, and I'm amused by the Germans who are very, very private about everything except, as I said, their private parts, and they're going nuts with Street View and saying, no, you can't take a picture of me on the street going to this place. Well, that's the public, and we should defend the public because we the public own the public. We can comment on it and analyze it and see what's there. So any place of public accommodation, a store, a school, at some level, and there's issues there too. But at some point, we have to define the definition of public in this new data age. And I think we've got to defend public a little bit because we go nutty on this privacy side.
I agree. I'm with you on that. But of course, you and I live in public in some strange, bizarre way. I was almost bit by this one. I almost fell for the Jason Calacanis style Twitter misdirection. Cyanogen on his Twitter about 15 minutes ago posted this. Today I decided to stop development on the Cyanogen mod and buy an iPhone. Sorry, fans. Now, Gina, before you have a heart attack...
Yeah.
Scroll up.
WTH.
Scroll up, because then the next tweet, ha, my friend stole my phone. I was pwned. he caught me entering the lock pattern. So, well, that was close.
Yeah, I gotta.
I'm glad I didn't run with that story. I almost did. You must, Pete, constantly have that kind of like, moment of, oh, we're glad we didn't cover that story. We could have been bit.
Yeah, probably quite a few times a week. What's great about blogging though is that you can
fix it.
You can put up what you have and then update, which is kind of the new way of doing things, I think. You have to get some kind of strong signal on there. You have to go and check it out somehow. But
you've been very good.
It's great that you have the power to correct. I mean, I speak to journalists all the time, and they say, what really frustrates me is that I put out the story, and the next day I learn it's wrong, and there's no way I can get all those papers back. I think that's the fantastic thing about blogging, that we can update as the story evolves.
What's your policy? I'm sure this is the case. I mean, some blogs will delete it and pretend it never happened. I'm sure you strike through, update, we got it wrong, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so what we do is we put an update right at the top, and then we put out a tweet and a Facebook message that just says, update, and then whatever information that we.
You don't hide what you got wrong, though. You leave that there.
No, I think you need to be really clear about that stuff. And that, I think, the fear is that people aren't going to trust you if you put up something wrong. But I think if you put up the wrong thing and then put up the right thing right above it, that actually builds trust.
Absolutely.
It says, hey, they get things wrong sometimes, but they're correct.
Right. Where you lose trust is where you hide and pretend and say, oh, we didn't get that wrong.
I mean, the deleting, in the age of RSS, you can't delete a blog post. Once you hit publish, it's out.
And yet there's still people who do it.
It's crazy. To me, that means that they don't know what they're doing because people have copies of the RSS item in their desktop feed reader.
Sorry, we could prove it. I've got Google Cache.
It turns it into a bigger story, doesn't it? Because people will go through the cache and they'll try and figure out, well, why did you delete that? And it makes an even bigger thing when you try and hide these. It's that whole problem of when you try and hide stuff, it makes it a bigger issue.
Tell the truth. Here's another breaking story. Just came in from ZDNet in a tweet. News is getting twittered now. This is how you break news.
I love the Saturday afternoon live on the air.
Yeah. Eric Schmidt tweets, quote, "Can't wait to watch the Super Bowl tomorrow. Be sure to watch the ads in the third quarter." Someone said, "Hell has indeed frozen over." Sounds like Google's bought an ad on the Super Bowl. So
what would that be?
So this is the question for the panel. I love it. What if you're Google, you're spending more than, what is it, $1.5 million, $2 million for a Super Bowl ad? What will that ad be for, Pete Cashmore?
Probably, well, it's going to be the Nexus One, isn't it? But it'll probably be content focused in terms of, hey, this is what you can do with it, rather than device focused, I would imagine.
Will they do, there's an app for it?
Along those lines, I'd imagine.
They could
it's
easily.
going to be about what it enables rather than what it is, because we're all like enamored by hardware, but really real people care about what can you do with this device.
Jeff Jarvis, you have a $2 million check. You can be on the Super Bowl. What do you advertise?
I think there's a way to ding all these competitors. And Google, as we've discussed in recent weeks, at least in the media level, Google has a PR problem. I think we agree that it doesn't on the customer level. But I think there's a way for Google to start to change the agenda about Google. And they're becoming more and more of a consumer brand now.
They don't do a Bing-style search ad, do they?
Oh, God, no.
I hope not. Those ads are so horrible.
But I think it may be more than the Nexus One. I think there's a bigger brand issue for Google to present itself as, and all these other people are trying to close down walls. We are your real friend. We give you things for free.
You think so, Gina? What does Google spend its $2 million on?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Nexus One, although I don't know. I kind of could imagine an ad for like Maps or Chrome or just like Google Apps in general. Like, look at all the cool stuff Google gives you, or just like maybe a walk through somebody's, day using Google Apps, the phone, the search, the maps, it might just be like shiny, rosy, Google's your friend ad, just like Jeff says.
Isn't there a risk, though, the backlash that, Google's in everything. They got their fingers are in my pocket.
We're up your nose.
Yeah.
What are the chances that Google has something brand new?
No. It could. The other thing it could possibly be is like a Chrome ad. Well, Chrome ad, because they're really trying to push that on all their various platforms. They're trying to push Chrome and they're trying to push the Nexus One.
They've been advertising that more in the UK, I think, Pete, than here. We've seen tube ads in the UK. I haven't seen anything like that for Chrome here.
No, but I would just say those are the two devices that they're really trying to push to a mainstream consumer audience. I would still side with the Nexus One, but that's the only other possibility. I don't think they do a general one. Who doesn't know what Google is right now and who doesn't?
Yeah. But most people, you ask them, Google is search, right? So
Google Apps. Yeah. I think people don't. Yeah, that's the thing. People know the Google search, but do they know about Google Docs? They knew about Chrome. They know about Android. They know about Maps. You know what I mean?
There's a business audience there. You're right, Gina.
And there's a case for them to advertise apps. They've been pushing apps. They're going to open up an app store for apps.
Say again?
You've gone to your Apps dashboard lately? To me, this was brand new today. If you go to the Google Apps dashboard you have, it now pushes a $50 a year higher level use of them for enterprises and such. And go to your, let me see here,
I'm just looking at it right now. I'm in my documents, Google Docs. Oh, you mean apps? I should go to apps.
Go to apps, and then go to manage this domain.
Oh, yeah. That's the pro. That's the pro version. No, they've done that for a while. They've been pushing that for a while.
The look was all different to me today. Try the Premier Edition free, create new users, and so on. And they're just trying to push a slightly different, I think, enterprise view. And they're trying to get more enterprises to use it. So I guess there's an off chance they could use the money for a business.
They've been buying billboards here in Silicon Valley at Google Apps saying, ask your boss. Tell him, saying go to the higher ups and say you want Google Apps. They've been trying to do this grassroots thing.
Yeah, it could be the enterprise, right? Because that's not unusual for during the Super Bowl, right? CEOs.
Is the hell frozen over comment merely that Google's buying an ad?
I think so.
Yes.
How about what if it's a Google Wave ad?
It's definitely not going to be Wave. It is not going to be Wave.
I inadvertently converted this to a comedy hour. Okay. Yeah, I guess
we own the future and you don't understand it. Only Gina does.
Maybe it's an ad for Gina Trapani. Look, we know you don't like Wave. You don't understand Wave. Read Gina's book, then it'll all make sense.
For those of you who, before we came on the show today, I told Gina that I talked to Nick Denton and told him that he had to talk to Gina about Wave and understand how important it was. And Gina said that you talked to him.
I mentioned that Adam and I wrote a book on Wave, and he looked at me.
Nonplussed with a blank look, a blank stare.
Yeah, and then I continued. I was making another point about publishing in the wiki format versus the blog format. We were having the old reverse chronological order, the bad parts of that and the good parts of that conversation. And I was saying, well, if you want to thoroughly document an evolving product, when it comes to software, you want to do it in a format that's more like Wikipedia versus the reverse chron.
Okay, but wait a minute. What if they tell everybody watching the Super Bowl to do the wave.
That counts. That counts.
That might work.
The
far
whole
as I'm
world will
concerned.
go off its axis.
All right, sports fans, we're going to take a moment in between plays to do the Google wave. Everybody now. No, I don't think that'll work. More than 2 million businesses run Google apps. 1,000. Yeah. So they're trying to make money on this. They sell it $50 a seat.
And they're talking about opening an app store for apps. So developers can make app specific. So they're basically going to make a store that runs on a web application. This is kind of a different. This is different. No one has done this before, right?
I think we've hit on it. I think this is what it's for. That's the only thing I could think of that they'd want to spend that much money on.
Except for besides the Nexus One.
I can't imagine them. I think they realize the Nexus One is a loss leader, and it's really more of a reference platform than the future of Android.
It does seem late for them to be doing this, the Nexus One, at this point.
This is going to be disappointing. I'm looking up here. Forbes says that Google's doing something with Kia for its Super Bowl ad.
Oh.
How disappointing.
Kia?
It's Google is working closely with Kia and all the Super Bowl sponsors, offering them exposure beyond TV. The marketers that are paying $2.8 million.
Now, Kia's done an interesting thing. They are the second company to introduce Microsoft Auto, this software behind Ford Sync. They're doing a very similar product to Sync using Microsoft Auto. Wouldn't it be interesting if Google had won them over and got them to use Android instead? Android mobile.
Yeah. Oh.
That would be a very interesting product.
Well, I was going to ask you about this, Leo, because we have one Prius in the house, and the brake problem is evidently a software problem. If you had the truly networked car, we should be able to get a download to that car like I can to my Android phone, shouldn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Click my ride, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So you think they would announce a product like that during a Super Bowl commercial? I suppose. No. That seems like that would have happened at CES, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Oh, John Battelle says it's a brand. Hang on.
Yeah, we're all
John
searching
Battelle's
Google
search blog. He says it's a brand campaign. It's not selling anything here other than its own brand.
Ah. So we're more than search.
Maybe this will be Google. It's
Google.
Awesome.
It's more than search. Google is 10,000 people working hard to make
There's even an ad. If you go to John Battelle's search blog at battellemedia.com, he says it's going to be this ad, which is called Parisian Love.
Oh.
So it's a brand ad.
He spoiled it for us all.
Well, he's got it.
Well, that's what he does have good sources at Google, though. I believe him.
Wow. All right, here it is. It's on YouTube. Oh, this looks kind of interesting. I'll play it.
So it is a search ad.
Apparently, it's a search ad, which you would think Google doesn't need to do. Here we go. This is...
Do you mean Louvre?
Study abroad. Paris, France. Click. Cafes near the Louvre.
I think it's funny that they're doing French since the French can't stand them.
Translate, tu es très mignon. You're very cute. Impressive French girl. Chocolate Shops Paris.
They can't...
What are
they really
truffles?
going to run that during the Super Bowl?
I hope not. Who is Truffaut?
It's not exactly very testosterone.
Beef eaters hate France.
Yeah.
This is just going to piss people off. It's a Google. If you like France, you'll love Google. No, that's wrong. That's just wrong. Churches in Paris.
Cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
How to assemble a crib. Aww.
Oh,
Well,
it's
a cute ad, but I can't. That's not that.
But
Can't.
it's
Cute ad. That's interesting. Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
it
buy
does
that they
feature
show
a
that
lot
during
of
the
things
Super
about
Bowl. The
search
Super
that a
Bowl's
lot of
the
people
most
don't know how to do.
All-American thing.
The last thing they're going to do is now. So there's other ones in this series. So I'm not sure. This is the one called Newbie.
What's interesting is that John wrote this before Eric put out his
These are some other ads, and notice the dates on these searches are like 2008. This is an old ad campaign.
Yeah, they got to be smarter than that.
Boy, France would be a huge mistake.
Don't do sissy French stuff on Super Bowl. I'm sorry, you just don't.
This one's also a little more lively in terms of the music. This one is all social media. Tips for going viral. They search Facebook. Yeah.
Mattel's practically trying to take credit for Schmidt's tweet, which I think is probably a little much.
These are old ads. Apparently, I'm told by the chat room, which knows all, these are have been on Hulu before. So nothing there. It's all smoke.
So we all think Nexus One or apps.
I think we're in agreement. Apps.
Okay.
Apps. Show of hands. Pete's not.
I see the point on apps. Like,
how about
the Nexus One's got a bit more broad reach, but
Yeah, the Nexus
I guess
One is gonna
apps on the
piss off
angle
their
of
other
like
customers.
tell your boss.
How about the machines became aware? February 7th, 2010. Skynet, new from Google. What do you think?
He could do to Steve Jobs what Steve Jobs did to Bill Gates and do a new Big Brother commercial. Apple is the new Big Brother controlling everything.
Oh man, oh my God! I mean, then with the shooting war, then nuke. That's the nuclear option. That's mutually assured destruction.
That's pretty cool, though, isn't it?
I love it. We want it. I want it.
I don't know. Google never mentions their competitors, though. I don't imagine them doing an ad that addresses their competitors. I don't know. I'd be surprised.
They won't. But I love the idea of it.
Oh yeah, why Bing sucks and Apple is.
Well, no. Why Apple is the new Big Brother?
Yeah,
they're the control freaks. We're not.
What if they did? What if they did a 1984 commercial?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean like the?
Yeah.
And it's Steve Jobs up there.
Yeah.
Oh, they better do that.
All this has happened before, and all this will happen again.
Up here.
That would be. You know what? They would win a lot of fans if they did that.
It goes back to what we were saying before. Apple has become the new control freak company.
Have Steve Jobs going
on Microsoft.
And then somebody with a Google shirt comes and throws a hammer through it.
Somebody looks like Bear.
I'm getting chills. Yeah, Bear, our sysadmin.
They would just have to list all the apps that have been rejected.
There you go.
There you go. Things you can't do elsewhere.
These apps will never be heard on the iPhone. They're not apps for you to use.
Never speak the word
Android. On 19. That would be awesome.
That would be kind of awesome.
I would be so on. Why 2010 won't be.
I might just watch the third quarter of the Super
like
Bowl now.
1984. We're not going to have anybody watching Twit tomorrow. They're all going to be watching that. All right. Let's see. I think we've done enough damage for the day. Let's get to our tip.
Leo, I want to plug one thing.
Plug away, Mr. J.
On the friend feed that I when I was in Davos at the Google party, I did the flip camera dance with none less than Tim Berners-Lee.
Oh wow!
And so we were both doing our flips at each other.
Oh,
and it's
that's
just kind of
great.
wacky, but to do that with him of all people, just it was my celebrity moment.
The inventor of the World Wide Web. Where is that?
He's very careful to say, yes, he's the inventor of the World Wide Web, not the creator of the internet or of the web, the inventor of the web.
Inventor of the HTML and World Wide Web protocols. Actually, I don't even know if you can give him HTML credit. Inventor of HTTP. So where is that video on your blog?
I put it up on the Delicious. And the other, while I'm plugging, the other thing I want to plug is today is son Jake Jarvis's 18th birthday.
Happy birthday, Jake. Yay, Jake!
Yay!
We were talking about him the other day. We were trying to think of who we want to do. We were thinking of doing a Facebook show, kind of like we do a Google show. And we thought, well, who do we have represent app developers? And I said, well, Jake, of course.
Yeah.
Be good. Be the first father-son team. By the way, there is a Daring Fireball with comments.net that has Daring Fireball with comments.
I saw that. That was a rebellion.
You see, though, you can't. Nothing's safe on the web. Nothing's sacred. Tip of the week, Ms. Trapani.
Yes, this is a really simple one, and it's for people who have filled out their Google profile and search Google when they're signed in. Scroll to the bottom of your search results. There's a new module, which it's new to me. I don't know. Actually, Pete probably knows when it rolled out more specifically.
No, it was new to me as well. I saw it yesterday. Popped up.
Yeah, it's the header is results from people in your social circle, right? So today I did a search for Caprica, and if I scroll to the bottom of the page, I see tweets from people I follow, and Google knows this because I've entered my Twitter feed on my Google profile blog posts from contacts, Google contacts about Caprica in the list. And the results are okay, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, it really feels like, whoa, how does Google know that I know these people? But they're connected. I mean, Google has indexed all the people that you follow on Twitter.
Yeah, but it starts with
your friends.
Starts with your profile. You have to have a Google profile to start.
You have to have a Google profile filled out, and the more information you have there, obviously the better. If you list your blog, you list your Twitter, that kind of thing, Google will, figure out who your contacts are on those other services. So
this is really cool.
Scroll to the bottom of your page, results from people in your social circle. It's in beta, and there's a couple other smaller links, My Social Circle and My Social, so you can see what people Google knows you're connected with.
Dave Weiner wrote a blog post about this, called it the two-way web, the two-way search, and he seems to think that this
very positive.
This is a huge step forward. Others in the comments saying, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of intrusive, isn't it? But I mean, this is what's
this is the way the web's going. I mean, what's Google supposed to do if
right.
social search is the next big thing? If everyone else is looking for recommendations on Facebook or Twitter for everything, Google's got to get into this space. I find it interesting that they're doing it by adding more and more stuff to search. And I wonder if there might be a smarter interface they can kind of innovate around instead of just keep adding more and more stuff into my search interface.
Well, at least it keeps
I've got real-time streaming tweets, then I've got images, videos, then I've got at the bottom here, I've got social search. It's just like all these extra pieces. I want different views.
But I think at some point they play with them and see what they do, and then they'll come in together. Like Google News was around for a long time before they added it to universal search.
Right.
I think you're right, Pete, but I think at some point they just want to play with it in isolation, and then they'll start to bring the singularity together, in which case there's no universal search anymore. Your search is different from my search.
That's an interesting point, too. Dave points that out.
It's been that way for a while, though, hasn't it? I mean, even if you log out of Google, they still look at your IP and customize your search.
Yes. Right.
You can't actually get away from it. Because I would love to see what, that was a great way of checking your search results before. Log out of Google, see what everyone else is seeing. It's becoming harder and harder to do that.
Weiner
Gina,
says,
go ahead. I've got a question for you, Gina.
Yes.
So I use two Google accounts. I use IMAP of my Buzz Machine address, and I use Gmail. Mm-hmm. That's the main one I use. So my Google address there is my Gmail, is my Buzz Machine address, and then I use another one for my university stuff. So Google keeps on thinking that my Google account, is my university address, when in fact my main one is my apps address. How do I get Google to understand that my apps address is my Google account?
In what context? In the Gmail application?
Like in this context, in profiles and other things. I can't
Isn't
sign in.
it just whatever you're logged in? Oh, you can't sign into that account.
I can't sign in using my...
Oh, I see. Yeah, your apps account. You can't sign in with your apps account on every Google service. And it's really annoying. And it's a problem that I have as well. I have an apps account and then a vanilla Gmail account. And in fact, Google Voice doesn't work with apps, so I actually have to maintain my contacts list on my vanilla Gmail account.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's dumb.
It's not. It's dumb. It's dumb, and they really need to give full support to apps users. The way I solve the problem is probably the worst. It's the worst solution ever. Is I just maintain a separate contacts list in my Gmail account, my regular Gmail account anyway, just to use voice. And so my social, if you click on your social circle, mine is very well filled in because I keep that list updated. But yeah, no, it sucks for people who are just app users. You have to maintain like a regular Gmail account, which is not going to get people to move to apps.
Move to apps. No, that's a problem. For like even hooking up my Nexus One.
Yeah.
I want to use my apps account, but I had to use my other Gmail account.
Well, you can sign into the Nexus One. You can sign into Android, like the initial sign in when you set up the phone or when you change your SIM. Yeah, that you can sign initially, but for other things like gallery and voice, you have to sign in with your regular Gmail account.
Can you not merge them by adding the apps somehow to your main account? I mean, it seems like you could merge.
Some things just don't exist on the app side. Like Picasso Web, as far as I understand, Picasso Web albums that isn't available for your apps account. Like
but can't you merge your apps account into your Google account somehow?
Yeah, I took my contacts and I exported them out of my apps account and imported them into my Gmail account, which had gotten out of date. So yeah, you can, but there's this constant I have to use.
My apps account is my main account.
Yeah,
I'd rather merge my Gmail into my Google account into my apps account.
I'm just thinking that if you made your app's email address be one of your official addresses on Google, on your Google account, wouldn't that do the job of merging the data?
But if I want to sign in with a Google account, I can't use my app's address to do so.
So I guess that's the question: is why doesn't Google, knowing that you have this account, this account, this account, all associated with one Google account, why doesn't Google take that social graph from all those accounts?
Right.
Or maybe it does, though. Do we know that it doesn't?
Sometimes you can sign in with your Google App's full email and domain, and sometimes it says, what is your username at Gmail? So you have to use your Gmail account. It depends on the context. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's
They
one
even really
that's
kind of acknowledge that we all have multiple Google accounts.
Well, I mean, they just recently on Android did, right? Like, there's multiple account support in Android. It used to be that it was just, that it was just a single, meaning that you can get like your Gmail from different accounts, in the Gmail app. So, yeah, you can do that. If in the Gmail app, if you just go into settings, you can sign in with a couple of different Gmail accounts, which is handy. So I have my Gmail account and my apps account.
But I didn't mean to derail this, but I needed.
No, this is something a lot of people are actually.
That's really awesome. Yeah,
thinking about. So I think it's a good subject. I just don't see. I have all my email addresses are verified with my main Google account. So,
but Leo, you have like a Gmail account, like a Google account that you sign in. That's your like Leo at Gmail, and then you associate your other addresses with it.
Yes.
But but all the data associated with that Google account, your contacts and all that, that's in that Google account. You know what I mean? So when we sign in with our Google Apps account, that's a separate Google account.
And it doesn't. Okay. So you want?
Yeah.
So the question is, do you want them to all have it merged, or do you want the granularity of saying I'm going to be on the Google Apps account today, I'm going to be on the other account today, the Gmail account today?
Well, for me, I just want to sign in with my Google Apps account
and have
that's
it know everything.
And I want gallery, I want voice, I want everything, but not every app supports Google Apps account. So like Picasso Web Albums and voice, you can't sign in with your apps account.
They want a Gmail. You have to have a Gmail account to use those.
It has to be a Gmail address, yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. Well, that's bad.
Thank you.
Yeah, unless I'm wrong, but I've poked around. I've heard from people email me and say, apps is great, but I have this problem, just like the problem that Jeff brought up. So yeah, I maintain basically 2 accounts.
Yeah, I mean, I have multiple Gmail accounts. I don't have an apps account. Oh, I don't know.
You should try the apps account.
I will.
Really should.
I do.
Especially as they're doing all this new stuff. I think you're going to want to know.
Bear, my sysadmin Bear tells me I have an apps account. Who knew? Well, I'll just have to try logging into it. Tip. So was that your tip?
So the tip was, scroll down and check out the results from your social circle.
That's right. Oh, God, we got so derailed. Okay, yes. I remember that now. Your social graph is now part of Google search results.
Yeah, and if you get freaked out, like, how does Google know that I know these people? Click on the My Social Circle link, and it will say, like, we know you know this person through your Google Contacts. We know you know this person through Friend Feed. We know you know this person through Twitter. Like, it's pretty open about how it has associated the connection, so you don't have to feel like...
Facebook is there, too?
Just Friend Feed and Twitter, from what I can see.
So let me ask you this, Gina, because on my Google profile it says add an alternate email address to your account. You can use alternate email addresses to sign into your Google account, and so I have all of these addresses verified, and I can sign into the same Google account with all of them. That can't be your apps.
So when you sign in your Google account, you can use a different non-Gmail address.
Yeah. It says alternate email addresses can only be associated with one Google account at a time. So my main Google account has, is Laporte at gmail.com, but then all of these other addresses that I use are associated with it.
Right. But so
where do you get that, Leo?
That's just in your user account settings.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't know if that gives you the result you want. I'm just not.
I'm not sure it does. I think it's going to reverse, but we'll try it next week. We'll
give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into this a little more because I've been hearing from listeners about this, asking about this as well. So yeah, I'll see if there's a solution or if you can do that. But if you associate your Google Apps account with your Gmail account, you kind of have some recursion going on. Like I don't know.
Well, I wonder, are they smart enough?
They might say like, hey, this is a Google account already. I'll check it out. I'll look into it.
So,
more on this
Barry, what's my apps account address? Do you know? How do you know about my apps account?
No, we created one as a test and ran into all these problems also, so we haven't exposed it to you because for now it's useless for you.
So there you go. Right. So you're confirming what we're saying, which is it doesn't work.
And the problem is it's Google Apps is in a different authority domain inside the Google system.
I see.
They don't cross over.
There's your problem.
Right.
So there's a fire.
They have a single
Chinese wall
sign-on for people who use apps regularly, but not for the consumer Gmail.
Okay, you're confirming then what we've said.
I like that you have your own Nurse Ratched there.
I know. He just sits here all the
ready
time.
for this, Leo.
Anytime I need him, he's there.
Shielding you from the difficulties.
We decided
I like
not
that.
to
Good
inform you.
does that.
I'm for your bed.
We created an account, but we decided not to inform you. We'll let you know when it's safe for you to use. This is the kind of service you get when you're president of the internet. I just want you to know. So, Jeff, your number of the week.
Number of the week is simple, but Google is awarding $5.7 million in Google Focused Research Awards. They've had more than 150 fellowship awards out there, but this is, they're saying, a bigger deal, and they've put them out in 4 areas. Machine learning, 1. 2, use of mobile phones as data collection devices for public health and environment monitoring. 3, energy efficiency and computing. None of these terribly surprising. But 4, I was amused by this, is privacy.
Good. They should put money into that.
I also like that it's kind of the Bell Labs of the future. It's
Yeah, got a virtual Bell Labs, huh?
Not quite pure research. In this case, it is focused on things that help Google, but more research is good. And I think Google is going to end up supporting Google and companies like that are going to support research as much as universities going forward.
Yes. So I had a lot of different possible applications for me, but I think since we started talking about it, I will focus on this one. Let me change cameras here so that you can see what I'm about to show you. Assign that to there. Okay. So this is my, and I'm not going to do what Cyanogen did and show you my pattern. Okay, now we got it. So a couple of different things on the phone. Of course, there's a new Maps application, and I think they updated it today to 3.4, and it has some new layers that you can put on there. I went to Labs to turn on some of these buttons. There's a Labs layer, but there is a search layer on there. So apparently this is from common searches in this area. I was kind of shocked when I saw that the search layer on mine is for the term mature sex. And I have to tell you, this is not something I ever searched for, and apparently I'm finding St. Paul's Episcopal Church as one of the results. So I don't know what happened here, but seriously, this is nothing I did, but it's just a new feature.
Really, honey?
I want you guys, would you get the new map and tell me if this is the personalized search? It's apparently common searches in your area, and I'm just curious what you're getting, because I'm taking this a little bit personal. There's also terrain and traffic, and you said, Gina, you really like the new traffic layer. That's just really handy to be able to see.
I'm not getting terrain or those kinds of things.
You have to turn that on in the Labs.
Thank you.
Yes. But so the new Maps has some very nice features you might want to take a look at, and the Labs stuff is available somewhere in the settings.
Under the More menu.
Of course, under the More menu.
Ooh, a whole new world. Easter egg.
Yep. Scale bar, which is nice. Terrain layer, which shows you, topography, vegetation, elevation. Popular categories, the layer button. A compass arrow to show you which way you're headed. Traffic with labels.
Turn them all on.
Bubble buttons is great because you can, if you click on a business, you can actually get directions and a phone number right from the map. Distance and heading. It's got a little measure tool. But the search layer, I think, is turned on just automatically. I think that's part of the new thing. And then, Gina, you mentioned a new music application. I don't know if this is the one you were thinking of, but this is one I've been using. It's called TuneWiki.
Oh.
I love TuneWiki. So first of all, it has a great little widget, but one of the things that's cool about TuneWiki is it looks up information about the song as you're playing it, including lyrics, which it will play in many cases in synchronous with the music.
That's sweet.
It's a really cool user-generated information. It is I guess on the web as a wiki, and it's a player. It plays video, plays music. If you're listening, it has internet radio stations, Shoutcast, Last FM, and if you are listening to a song, you can press the music button, or rather the video button, and it will find a video of it on YouTube as well. So a lot of nice features. This is a really cool little player. And this is why I really enjoy the openness of the Android platform, because you can get some really interesting. Apple would never let this on because it supposedly duplicates a function of Apple's own making, but the iPod player doesn't do anything like this. So here I'm listening to a Joni Mitchell song, and it's playing the lyrics as I listen to it, which is really cool. So
Don't tell the lawyers.
That's sweet.
Free TuneWiki. Got little ads in it. That's I guess why it's free.
Is there any way, Gina, to get a feed of the apps that you and Leo have in an easy way?
You know, if it had a screenshot,
I just want a feed.
it just had a
We can
darn
only take a
screenshot. I could take pictures of it. Is there any way we can get a list out?
You know, not unless we publish one. I've always felt like there needs to be, or there has to be a site where you could just be like, I use this.
Right.
Kind of like GEGT, you know, but for software. Like, these are the things I'm currently using.
Well, there is I use this, and there is an iPhone such a thing, but maybe somebody needs to create one for Android. And if you know of one, email me.
Is it iusethis.com or?
Yeah, and they may have an Android section on it.
That might be a good way to say, you know.
Somebody's made a liar of me. They say TuneWiki is on the iPhone. I don't think that's possible. It's in the App Store. Oh, well, there you go. Little did I know. So that's there's a double tip there. You can use it on your phone. And you've seen the Layer browser, of course. You know, I was really surprised. I think it was at Davos that Marissa Meyer was talking about Layer, and Eric Schmidt had never heard of it.
That's what I thought was when I was there. Yeah,
I was shocked. So
the other moment was Eric borrowed my phone, and then he made me download the SkyMap thing so he could demonstrate it on my phone.
Because he didn't have it.
Yeah,
SkyMap's awesome. That's free. As is Layer. Layer is a augmented reality browser. You know,
I'd imagine that would be a fantastic acquisition for Google to put over.
Oh yeah,
Google Maps, Google Street View, all that stuff.
Well, if Eric Schmidt knew about it, maybe they could buy it.
Well,
he does now.
He does now. No, that's fantastic, and that's almost futuristic. That stuff. It's like,
so cool.
How is this here already?
Right. It's so cool. So I use this does have Windows, Mac, and iPhone, but they don't have an Android page. So maybe we should talk to them. And Gina, you and I should make a list of apps because there's new stuff all the time. There's some great games on there. There's just some great applications. The new Twitter client I'm using just came out from Handmark. I really like. It's called Tweetcaster.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that. I haven't tried it.
It's quite pretty.
Yeah.
And it does seem to have all the functionality that the more mature apps on the iPhone side have. Mm-hmm. So it does what I think is really important, which it does notifications, and you can say just notify me for direct messages, or notify me for all mentions, or notify me for all tweets.
Have you switched from Twidroid Pro?
Yeah, well, I switched from Twidroid Pro to Seismic briefly, and now Seismic's been updated, so I have to try Seismic again. And then Handmark said, take a look at Tweetcaster, and I like this a lot. Jeff, you need to go?
You caught the hand signal, yes. I was just
Pizza time. Pizza time. Enough tools, enough tips, enough numbers. Pete Cashmore, so glad you could have joined us today. We'd love having you on. Come back. Yep. Cashmore is, of course, the creator of Mashable. Everybody must read Mashable daily.
Wonderful.
It really is.
Mashable.com.
Yep. Oh, of course.
And at Mashable on Twitter and Facebook.com/Mashable.
Excellent. Thank you, Pete. Great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Jeff Jarvis is the creator of the wonderful Buzz Machine blog at buzzmachine.com. You can also hear his letter from the States on Times. The Times, is it Times or Guardian? It's Guardian. Guardian.co.uk.
Media Talk USA.
Media Talk USA. I always think of Alistair Cook's letter from America.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I kind of think of you as.
A letter from New Jersey.
Yes, the Alistair Cook of the Guardian. Gina Trapani's book is The Complete Guide to Google Wave at CompleteWaveGuide.com.
But don't buy it right now because I have a new edition coming out in a month.
Watch for the Superbowl ad.
You're never going to hear an authur say this, but I am going to be straight up with you.
Amazing,
don't buy
Gina.
my book right now.
Hell has
I'm coming out with a new edition in just a few weeks.
The heck with you, Gina. I'm buying it now.
Buy it twice. It's $5
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's $6. So, you could buy it now. I'd appreciate it. You could buy me a cup of coffee. But if you want the newest stuff, just wait till March. South by Southwest, I'm going to have brand new, and they'll be in print. And the 2 new chapters 9 and 10, are online. You can check them out right now. So, and you can tell me what I got wrong. So please do that. CompleteWaveGuide.com.
It's really a must-have. You think Wave's going to take off, or is it kind of all over for Wave?
I wouldn't have written the book if I weren't really bullish about it. I think that it's going to get adopted. I think it's going to be. I think it's a power tool for power users.
Yep.
But yes, I do think it's going to get adopted way more mainstream than it is.
She's putting her word processor where her mouth is. The new edition out soon, but buy the book now and again later. So you don't get free updates. If I buy it now, I don't get updates.
You know, we're looking into ways that we can do that. I'd love to be able to stream updates or do upgrade pricing or figure out a way to do that it doesn't that isn't manual. So we're kind of trying to work on a workflow to do like a software upgrade type thing versus a new edition of the book. So right now it's kind of up in the air. My official public line is no, you got to buy it all. You got to buy the new edition in full. But we're, trying to figure out if we can work out a deal. So we'll see. That's why I said don't buy it now.
It's a technical issue.
It's a technical issue. We're going to see how we can do it.
Gina's blog is smarterware.org. And when do you, can I say where you're starting next?
Yes.
When do you start on Fast Company?
I started video blogging and textual blogging on Fast Company. Yeah, there's a little video up. It's really cool. It's got this kind of neat animation. I talk about managing your email inbox. I believe it's at fastcompany.com/worksmart, I want to say.
Excellent.
I hope that that's it because I just said it.
I'm sure it is.
Yes, it is that. fastcompany.com/worksmart. Thanks, Leo. Leo's the man. He always helps me plug my stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm the king of plugging. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We do this show every Saturday afternoon, 2:15 Pacific, 5:15 Eastern Time, 22:15 UTC at live.twit.tv. Please join us then, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Google.